Decisions. Should you buy an LTD 1000, or is it worth spending twice as much and saving up for the E2? Let's take a closer look. So first of all, what do I like about this one, the LTD? Well, first, as you can see, it's freaking gorgeous. It's purple. More guitars need to be purple. It's very easy to see the figuring finish and everything. It's like the perfect shade just about. Another thing I love is that there are no pickup rings in your way. That's awesome. You also have a locking bridge right here, so it's not going to shift unless you want it to. Ebony fingerboard, feels very nice, very smooth, feels good quality, no complaints there. You got your stainless steel frets. The volume knob feels pretty solid. The switch feels extremely solid. It's probably one of the best three-way switches I've felt. Just your standard output jack, but if you actually plug into it, it's a very tight connection. You're not going to have issues with this. See there? This is a set through instead of a neck through, which that's a subjective thing. The reason why I say that is because a set through is a little bit lighter, and this guitar is a little bit lighter weight. Locking tuners, of course, they're pretty solid. They're ESP branded, but they're solid enough. These pickups are pretty great too. This is a Sentient. This is the Pegasus. This is a Pegasus pickup. The Sentient has a very bright attack, especially with high gain. Very good for fast leads, things like that, which you'll see. The Sentient has a ton of clarity to it, which is awesome. However, I think it could use just a little bit more output, just a touch. But still, it's a great pickup. I might actually put that on one of my other guitars eventually. A lot of people compare the Pegasus to the Nazgul. I like the Pegasus way more than the Nazgul. The reason why is because it has about the same amount of output, at least it sounds like it to me. It has the same clarity, the same kind of pick attack, very tight response, but without the honk. The Nazgul to me is way too mid-heavy. I like my mids, but it just sounds like you have a cocked wah. That's not an issue with the Pegasus, so. What do I not like about it? This tone knob is a little wiggly, and it's not the actual knob itself, it's the potentiometer. Little wiggly, it feels kind of chintzy. I mean, it works fine, but I just don't know the longevity of it is all. This came with a plastic nut, just your standard plastic nut, as you can see here. It's not the end of the world, but at the same time, this is a $1,100 guitar. Why in the hell did they put a plastic nut on a guitar this expensive? That's silly. One other thing, too, that I don't like. It might not be as big of a deal to most people. I'm very picky with stuff. But, again, for this Pegasus, I wish it was just a little hotter. The reason why is because I have this pickup raised way up, almost as high as it'll go. And, for one, it looks kind of janky. But, it's still not hot enough even when it's that far up, that close to the strings. At least for me. I mean, you can add gain on your amp and compensate, but I wish it was just a touch hotter because I would rather lower this just a little bit and have it have a little more output. And the last thing, which is really a non-issue, is that the binding is got kind of a yellow tinge to it. It's like splooge yellow. It's not as white as the E2 is, but it still looks good, you know, it fits. Besides that, there's very little negative to say about this guitar. It feels great, and as far as it being a gloss neck, this is actually a gloss neck here. Some people don't like that. I really don't care. I don't have a preference. Satin, gloss, as long as the contour itself is fine, I'm good. But at the same time, a lot of people have issues with their hands sticking to a gloss neck. My hands are dry as hell. That's never been a problem for me. So, it is what it is. I can't really relate to that. Next up, the fretwork for the LTD. I have to say, it's pretty much immaculate. Very nicely rounded, extremely comfortable, very consistent all across the neck. So, very good there. My one and only complaint is that it has the slightest bit of fret sprout from the wood shrinking. That can happen on any guitar, really. But, you know, it's just, I'm just mentioning it because it's there. When I say slight, I mean, you can barely tell. Like, I don't notice it at all. It doesn't scratch my hand, anything like that. If I run this microfiber rag over it, it's barely catching. Not really anything to go crazy over, right? Next up, how's the build quality? Well, went over the fretwork, of course. I'm showing some small inconsistencies with the binding. You see that right there. A lot of this stuff is non-issues. I'm just pointing it out so you know. It's pretty consistent all the way down, except for that one little nick right there. You see it's a little uneven. Up here, it looks like it was kind of beveled off right there. Some of the lacquer's missing right here. Again, not really an issue. Here's the binding on the inside of the horn. Little jagged looking. It's not that smooth. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not perfect. On the horn there, for the most part, it's good. And fret leveling, I've checked that. They're pretty level. If I were to keep this one, I don't see myself really worrying about getting it leveled, to be honest. It plays just fine. Alright, so here's the E2. What do I like about it? First of all, this finish is absolutely gorgeous. The gradient is awesome. Looks pretty unique here. It comes with the strap locks already installed. The buttons here, I'll show a picture of the actual mechanism. They're a lot like Schaller strap locks, which I like a lot, and they feel pretty solid. I don't think they're going to fail. These pickups are some of my favorite pickups on any guitar, period. This is a Seymour Duncan Custom 5, and this is a Seymour Duncan Jazz. The reason why I like the Custom 5 is it has just enough output to where you have a lot of dynamics and it can be very aggressive, or you can back it off with your height or just your picking. Very dynamic pickup, but it can also get crunchy as hell for metal too, and it'll scream for leads. This is pretty much the perfect pickup for me. It has a lot of balls to it also. The equalization to me feels fairly flat, you know, maybe just slightly scooped. Nothing too crazy. I really like this. For the jazz pickup, the main thing I like about this is, again, it has a pretty bright attack for leads, but if you coil split this thing, it sounds like a real single coil, not just a tapped humbucker. When you split this thing and say you put a blues driver, you know, in front of your amp and back off the gain on your amp, this thing sounds like a Strat, and I'll show that here in a minute. The fingerboard, again, ebony. This is Macastar ebony, very smooth. We got your stainless steel frets, which they started doing fairly recently. I can't remember what year, 2022 maybe. This model does have the stainless steel frets, so that's good. This is a neck through, which I prefer just because I feel like it's a bit more durable. I don't know, I just feel like it might have more longevity. That's just me. I can't tell the difference in tone. A lot of people claim they can, but I can't hear it. Satin neck, again, I don't have really a preference whether I like satin or gloss better. It just depends on the neck contour itself. But the neck contour of this thing is perfect for my hands. I love it. It's not too wide, not too narrow, not too thin, not too thick. And I've got pretty small hands, to be honest with you. So I really love the feel of this neck here. Super smooth too, very consistent finish all the way across. You go toe locking tuners. These are extremely stable. I've got these on several different guitars. It has a bone nut installed right off the get-go. There's really not much I can fault about this. This is pretty much exactly what I would choose if I were to get a fully custom guitar with just a couple minor little tweaks, but overall, this thing, it just rocks, at least for me. What do I not like? This is just a personal preference thing. Some people don't care, but I don't like the fact that it has pickup rings here. Main reason is my palm a lot of times will nudge up against the edge of this because I have pretty fat palms here. That might not bother some people. See there? That might not bother some people. It might be a non-issue. As far as looks, I don't care either way. This guitar looks great, whether it has the rings or not. The build quality on this thing is amazing. It better be for the price, right? Yeah, there's not much really that I can fault with it, if anything at all. The switch, rock solid, just as good as the LTD. The pots have no play in them at all. They feel very nice, very premium, so good there. The output jack, again, is excellent. Very substantial jack on this one, even more than the LTD. Good connection, takes some good amount of force to get this cable out. The binding is nice, bright white, like it should be. It matches the neck binding as well. That's about it, really. This guitar is damn near flawless. So is the binding. Very bright white and very consistent. I'm not really seeing any jagged edges anywhere. Very good attention to detail here. Let's go up the neck. There's maybe the slightest little nick where they put the nut on, but that might just be dust or something. That might not even be a crack or anything like that. I can't really tell, to be honest. No problems with the binding at all besides that. There's a little bevel right here, nothing crazy. The only complaint that I have as far as the build, not that big of a deal, but at the same time, it is a little annoying because of the price, mainly because it's a $2,100 guitar, but these inlays, the side dots, are a little crooked. They're not totally centered. So if I go down, as you can see, it's kind of close. See that one right there? It's a little too far down. The 12th fret's way too far down. Most of them are in line with each other, but that 12th fret, just letting you know it's there. That is literally the only build quality thing that I can find on this guitar whatsoever. Next up, the fretwork. I said the LTD had pretty immaculate fretwork, aside from the very slightest bit of sprout or whatever. This is even better. Look at the ends of these, and it's all the way down the neck. They're fantastic. No fret sprout at all. It came from a few states over, and I did not let it acclimate, but it has not moved. These frets are perfect. I seriously, and this rag will not catch. Let's take a look at the hard case that the E2 comes with. As you can see, it's like a Tolex material, very solid. It is molded for this guitar. Let's open it up. Get that out of the way. Has a cool accessory pocket here. See there? Very nice. A lot of cases, even the ones that you get like from Schecter and Ibanez and stuff don't have that compartment right there. Another cool thing too is if you got the LTD instead of the E2, this is molded for the Horizon, but you can still fit the LTD in there just fine. It's a perfect fit. The last difference I want to point out between these two is the width of the necks. I don't know if it's my imagination. I'm going to measure it and throw the measurements on screen, but horizontally this way, this neck feels slightly more narrow than the E2, which for me that's a good thing because again I said I have small hands, sausage fingers, short little sausage fingers. This actually feels better in my hand, the contour of the neck does, than the E2. This still feels fantastic, but this just has a very slight edge as far as the contour for me. So first I want to demonstrate the capabilities of these pickups here, starting out with the Sentient. First of all, there's not going to be many dad riffs on this like a lot of other YouTube channels. This is mostly a metal channel. I'm mostly a metal player, so if you're looking for dad riffs on a guitar like this, sorry. So for the Sentient, this is an extremely tight sounding pickup. Just listen to this pick attack. Very, very tight. A lot of clarity here. And for years, for the longest time, I always preferred a hardtail bridge, like a hip shot or Gibraltar or something like that, which I kind of still do. That's still my preference because of the ergonomics. But a cool thing about these tunematic bridges, when they're stringed through like this, because of that very steep break angle, because it sits up slightly higher, even though you still got pretty low action, you can really dig in a lot harder with thinner strings. These are just 10 to 48 Ernie ball sacks. And I mean, just listen, I'm in D standard at the moment. Nice and tight. And if I bring it to drop C, it's still just fine. So yeah, no problems as far as tension. I'm more of a death metal guy, but this does the gent thing quite well if you're into that. I'm sorry, I keep calling it the Sentient. That was the Pegasus, that bridge pickup, not the Sentient. The neck is the Sentient, which I'm about to show you. Here it is on high gain once again, and you can do cool stuff like this, that Animals as Leader wannabe riff that I like to do. And that's without it being tapped, so that's a really nice, bright and throaty sound to it. And of course, good for single notes too, you know. Very good stuff. So I'm on a solo setting back to the Pegasus pickup. Still full humbucking, but it's really cool on this setting for like the Satriani type deal. Yeah, not bad. Here's the neck pickup. Still pretty bright attack. I like it. The Pegasus right now is split back on my normal high gain setting, but you can get some pretty cool sounds when it's split here. same thing goes for the neck pickup. Here's some corded stuff. The neck pickup is still split right now. Then here it is, full humbucking again. Yeah, not too bad. Corded stuff with the bridge pickup, the Pegasus, full humbucking. Alright, and split. Here's some kind of punkish riffs on a lower gain setting, but I have a Boss Blues driver engaged. Sounds pretty cool. This is the Pegasus split. Sounds pretty decent for your Texas blues type shit if you're into that too. For the neck pickup split, check this out. I mean, you're not going to buy this guitar to play blues, but it holds its own pretty decently, I would say. Has that 30 single cool sound. Alright, and here's your obligatory clean riffs. Sentient, neck pickup, full humbucking. Very warm sounding. Okay, same sort of deal, but now the neck pickup is split. Full humbucking, bridge pickup, Pegasus. Very, very twangy on the clean. I don't really care for it. At least not full humbucking. Let's try the splitting mode. Yeah, there's your obligatory cleans. Here's the tightness of the Custom 5 bridge pickup. I had to actually back off the gain quite a bit because this is a bit hotter than the Pegasus. So yeah, it's plenty tight there, but you do have to back off the gain quite a bit. More chuggy fun. Here's drop C. Again, these are 10 to 48 strings and tension is still fine. So here's the neck pickup. This is the Jazz. I'm just going to do the same kind of little animals as leaders thing that I do just so you can compare it to the last one. And then if I cold split it, it's really cool. Here's something pretty cool when you split the Custom 5. Back to the bridge. Here's a solo sound. Pretty cool. Back to the neck, here's the Jazz. So here's like some widdly diddly shit with the Jazz pickup. those chorded riffs again just to compare with the LTD clips from before. Here's the Custom 5 full humbucking. Then here it is, coil split, the same kind of deal. Alright, and then neck pickup. So this is the Jazz full humbucking. And then finally, coil splitting the neck. I actually think that riff sounded coolest on that setting. So here's that Billy Talent thing again. This is the Custom 5 split. Check how bluesy this sounds when it's on a low gain setting. This is the Jazz coil split with the blues driver engaged. Very bluesy. Here's something that made me especially excited about this Jazz pickup. I like to jam along to Nick Johnston sometimes, and this sounds absolutely perfect for that. Check this out. Or like Atomic Mind, you know? Awesome. That sounds so close to a real single coil, it's not even funny. But yeah, I love that pickup. So here's your obligatory cleans. This is the Jazz pickup, full humbucking. And then here's the neck pickup split, the same little porcupine tree riff. humbucking. And then finally split. Here's the middle split. And then finally middle humbucking. So you're probably asking yourself by now, which should you get? There's a couple things to keep in mind. Obviously your preferences and your financial situation, that's a given. But there's a few things you want to ask yourself. If you're looking at the LTD, is there anything you would change? Reason being, the LTD is 1100 new and about 800 used. This E2 here is 2100 new and around 1400 used. I got mine for 1700, but it was basically just a customer return, so it was pretty much brand new, and I managed to talk Samash down a bit. You can also look for an ESP standard version of this guitar as well, but good luck actually finding one. You can make the LTD just as nice as this, but it will take you shelling some money out. Do you want a better nut, or are you fine with a plastic nut? Do you want to change the pickups? I think the pickups are great in the LTD, but my preference are these. Do you want to add strap locks? Do you want a case with your guitar? That's going to be extra cost on top of what that LTD already costs, so keep that in mind. However, if you're perfectly content with the LTD out of the box, more power to you. Honestly, I wouldn't really be in any hurry to change anything on that LTD. I would eventually probably, but it played great. This has all the upgrades out of the box. The Goto tuners, the pickups I like, the satin neck. This thing is the whole package. Because of how anal retentive I am with fret buzz, this one ended up being the winner for that alone. This thing hardly has any fret buzz to speak of whatsoever. I really have to bang on it and be obnoxious to get any kind of buzz on this thing. There's just a little bit more attention to detail on the E2 over the LTD. Not to take away from the LTD at all. If for some reason I couldn't afford this, I would still be perfectly happy jamming on the LTD all day long. I was having fun when I had it, and it's a badass guitar, even if you don't change anything. And if you made it this far, just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Hope it was informative and somewhat entertaining, and until next time, horns up.